This is the review for 30th of June, last day of the month. Well, I did some work. There have been two instances where the last day of the month is Monday, and out of those two, I can get the data of one. And I checked the data, it was a trending day. Uh, Either it opened, gap down, or gap up. By the way, on the last instance, it opened, gap down, and we saw a trend. And maybe in the context of today we could have seen a gap up and then a trend. The trend did occurred. I was not expecting that big of a move, so we couldn't capitalize the entirety of it. Let's look at how it played out. Starting from the open, we see continuous bear bars, and I sensed that there are sellers, and I was paying attention to this area, which was the range low. If if we start seeing a momentum bounce back here, that would mean we're going back up to these highs and then above the range highs. And if we fail to do so, uh, what could very quickly come in would be uh, the closing of the gap, and the closing price of Friday was 24,030ish. So the close was here, we were very close, and I was cautious being buying. I wanted to see how it reacts, and maybe if it fails, then at least the close is what coming. And after the pullback, uh, I was thinking that, well, this could now go here, and if it fails, or if we start closing above prior bar highs on the candles, then that would mean we're sensing strongness. But it fizzled out, and I shorted, added, added again, uh, and then I sensed that the gap is filled, and with not seeing any more momentum, I exited one of my add-on with a 2 point or 4 points loss, and this one with a 4 point profit. So these balanced out, and then this one was in profit as well. After seeing a prior bar high and it coming back, I initiated a small position, had my stop above these areas. Now it was very unfortunate, I would say, during the session when I got stopped out right here. I was saying to myself, well, this should not have happened. This was a 65 point stop. Stop was absolutely, maybe I can say, not at a very good place. This is a very obvious place. Maybe I should have given it more points, but I generally keep a 40 point stop. So 65 point was way what I could give it. Uh, this happened in a 1 minute time frame. You might see it on a 5 minute chart, but how it happened was there was a spike and then a sell off. I kept my calm. This is the reason also why I've written it down here. Was I the thing that I liked was I kept my cool. I uh, did not press buttons, maybe buy, do it. I just waited for the market to react, and I was kind of hoping that if this does not sustain, if we start going higher again from here and we start closing above these highs, maybe I would start buying. But the market failed, came all the way back down. I shorted again, added again, and then I closed my position around 2410. Now, why did I closed is what you could not see. There was a swing low around these areas, which was not exactly here, but around 23,970, around this area. Not exactly here, around this area 980. it was around this area, but there were tails around these areas, and I just booked a little earlier. And when the market formed a range around 5:36, I looked at it and I wanted it to break out either way. This is where we were playing around 23 at 70, and then we saw a breakout, and this happened during the US, which is around 7:30 in the evening. We broke out from 23,900 and we went to 24,100. And if we come here, we are at 24,100 uh, after the first 15 minutes, and then we went all the way back to 23,900. And the reason is, whatever business that was around these areas couldn't be traded well. This price was very less traded, and that is why market just wanted to trade those areas being efficient, is my hypothesis. I generally do not care why something happened. All I care about is doing the right thing, making the trade and making money out of it. The US was much more trickier. The Nasdaq opened weak, continued going down, and then came back. I shouted around this area, got stopped out right here. This was a 30-point stop, and while I shorted the Nasdaq, I even shorted the Dow as well. We'll see. And later, when we saw a breakout, I bought here, added to my position, and I got stopped out on both of the position. Now this stop in itself, it was 8 points I guess here and 12 points here, so 12 or 15 points. Let's look. 45, this is 42ish, and 20, this was 20 points I guess. So it was a very tight stop. The reason why I added here was the Dow broke out even being negative, tried pushing higher and went to the uh, opening price and opening high. I was expecting at least the same here, which would have been another uh, 15 points at least, and then I would have moved my stop maybe to break even or maybe closed. Or I was expecting we going high above these areas, which did not occur. I got stopped out. Now the reason why I had these tight stops was very obvious, and you could see there was nothing happening in the market. You made a high here, a low here, we went below this low, then we went above this high, then we went all the way below this intermediate low that we made, then above these highs, and then below these lows, came back and then went below these lows again, and then went above. So there was no move, and it was very clear. And even if you look at the Dow, this is what I did in the Dow, and if you see, the market was in no hurry to do anything. There were buyers below and sellers above. uh, I I just tried once to see the depth. I shorted around this area, um, waited for the market to converge in my direction, uh, saw a new low, I added to my position. I could sense momentum, I added to my position, moved my stop to break even on the first, and the second stop was moved to the entry of the first. And I got stopped out, and then the market moved again in my favor, made a new low, and then came back. I was expecting that if for this from this trade was, what if this is showing weakness, then maybe we are going for a gap fill, which did not occur. Came all the way back, looking at what was happening. There were two things. One was either we uh, after this we sell off, which occurred, and I was on the bedside, and the other was we make this high, clear out these stops, and then we sell off. So when it came back here, I shorted, got stopped out here, and then I didn't wanted to rush the buy, so I waited. Now I was kind of thinking that either this gonna go down from here, or if you look at the strongness of the momentum, you would say, well, the bulls are in a hurry, there's no overlap, and so maybe after a retracement you might see another leg up, at least to the range highs. And I bought here after seeing this bar went below prior bar, and buyers stepping in, I bought here, and I got stopped out here, and then I did nothing. I didn't sense that there was something good was happening in the uh, Dow Jones. Now you'd see a lot of times this is the uh, common pattern that happens in the US, where we, instead of giving out or having a trend, we generally just probe the range stops. Have to be very careful. At each high you sell, and at each low you buy, generally. One more reason, I'll just show you what was going in my mind when I added this position, and why I was of the idea that let's short it. You looking at this pattern, right? Let's And this was an ABCD, and I knew we were at somewhere going to these price points, but I just exited earlier. Let me show you another example from our review only, where something like this happened, where we had a closing price around this area, market opened negative and then went below, and this happened gap fill, right? You're looking at this now. If you look, the market opened negative. This was the gap. I bought this gap and I got stopped out for nothing, and then I shorted, I exited earlier, but if you'd see, the market drifted down all the way. And generally when there's a gap, market opened higher, and it do not stop at the gap, it tends to go to price point. And I guess this was the price point where 23,500 was, where there was a swing on the left side. Generally this happens, and I I kind of recognized this, remembered what happened earlier, and that is why I was on the short side, even seeing a very strong momentum on the Friday. See, it's kind of same as DAX on 25th of June, and we drifting down, and if you look at the DAX, this was a gap fill, and then we saw a retracement, and then we drifted down all the way. Okay, all right. Tomorrow, or I should say today, July 1st, would be the last trading day, and then I'm off for 10 days, and then I'll see you after 10 days on Monday the 14th.